saw this on Bill.
You know, when David originally reached out, I reached out to David in February. And he said, yeah, I'll make it as long as there's no snowstorm.
And then there was.
About got his snowstorm. I mean, I assume is it still snowing?
Yeah, it is.
It's still snowing?
This is to give you.
I got it. Oh, maybe 12. I don't know. Okay, we need to come out of executive session at 10:03 where no action was taken.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Brooks.
Yes.
Volgren.
Yes.
Augsburger.
Yes.
Sykes.
Yes.
Obermeyer.
Yes, and in front of us is case number 22-3, for $2,000 for a cremation. And by approving this, then we are also approving the vendor claim.
Mr. Chairman, I'd go ahead and make a motion to approve general assistance case number 22-3 in the amount of $2,000 for cremation.
Second.
Thank you, guys. Any other discussion? Roll call, please.
Augsburger.
Yes.
Sykes.
Yes.
Volgren.
Yes.
Brooks.
Yes.
Obermeyer.
Yes. Okay. That does bring us to the end of the agenda, into the committee reports. Who wants to start? Daniel.
Mr. Chairman, as you've discussed already, we're trying out this OWL. And with that, doing some Facebook Live. So today we were both on Zoom and Facebook Live. The nice thing about doing the Facebook, it will record them out there so people can go out and watch a meeting later if they wish. The tech committee has also sent out a survey to all the department heads regarding the York County ne.gov website, kind of get their feedback on what they feel about the website and then their department's pages. So we'll review that information and then hopefully start building a new website and web presence for York County. YCDC this last week had its annual membership banquet, so attended that. There was 3 York County Impact Awards that were presented. Charlie Hoffman, Madonna Mogul, and Miles Berg were recipients this year. And also at that meeting, new officers for YCDC were elected. So Eric Montgomery with Edward D. Jones is the current president. Stacy Stark with COPSA Odie is the vice president. Zach Hollick with Cornerstone is the treasurer. Jane Jensen with Jensen Lumber Company is the secretary. And Tammy Batt with Corteva is the assistant secretary. So those officers are were voted on and approved for this upcoming year.
Okay.
That's all I have to report today.
Okay. Kurt?
Sat in, we had a Zoom meeting with SEND, our full board of directors. Last Thursday, we didn't have a lot of agenda items, so instead of having everyone from southeast Nebraska drive up to Lincoln for just a few items, we just did it online, so that worked pretty slick. Nothing big going on there. Legislative committee wise, they're working on the budget right now, so that's just all they're doing. They have to report the budget out. The appropriations committee has to report the budget out by the 40th legislative day, and it has to be sent to the governor by the 50th legislative day, and they're in, the 50th I think is maybe next week. So they'll be spending most of the week again on budget items. Nothing too big in the budget that affects the counties, or this area really too much. And there's some ARPA projects. There's the big lake over there by the Platte River one. Then there's that canal project out in western Nebraska. They're going to be upgrading some facilities around Lake McConaughey and then up around Niobrara. There's a Lewis and Clark Lake maybe up there. But nothing really affecting York County residents too much. I did talk to Sheriff Burke about his meeting with Senator Coulterman on 9/21, so I'll get that letter drafted up here today.
Okay,
So
we can
get
all
that.
sign.
Yeah, and again, like I said, I don't even know when they're gonna get to that bill, just because they're just, they gotta get all through all this budget stuff. Each bill's taking 8 hours to debate, and there's like 5 of them, and that's just the first round of debate. So, then there's other priority bills they gotta get done, so whether they get to it or not, I don't know, but, glad to hear Senator Coulterman was receptive to
On
the
board.
sheriff's and county's request, so. Other than that, like I said, I brought the roads in this morning, they were in pretty decent shape for not having moisture on them for quite a while, so, just glad to see the gravel, even down in Beaver West Blue, really appreciate it, Harv. That's all, Mr. Chairman.
He's consistent. Thank you, Kurt.
Okay,
Okay,
all right, we're going to have a safety committee meeting this afternoon at 1:30. Leela did hold a tornado drill on March 23rd, and then there was a tabletop discussion afterwards, I assume. I don't have the date down on the date of the tabletop, but she also did the aging transit building on highway safety inspector, Office of Safety Inspection, and we'll go over that in next month or next meeting, possibly when Leila can be here and go over it. She said she didn't have time to really study up on it this time, but we did have that meeting, and we had an aging meeting. It was proved that we were all just getting older. Four Corners had a board meeting that we discussed new leadership. We had a new president of the board, vice president, secretary. They were all elected. Margaret Brink had been on that committee since it was founded, since Four Corners was founded, and she finally stepped down from the board position as chairman. And I don't want to bring up anything else about that particular incident until I have a time to talk with her, to bring up what she wants done. That's all.
that all? Bill?
Got several items. First of all, I want to say I attended the district meeting out in Kearney last week, along with Randy and Kelly and a couple of others, and very informational. The Region 5 meeting that I was supposed to attend last Monday, we was all ready to go when Marty sent out an email that said due to the lack of a quorum, it was once more postponed until April 11th, so I have nothing to report there. Yesterday, I attended the meeting with Randy and the Zoom with Jill as far as some of the corrections that we had to take care of on the budget, and that's being solved right now. I'm kind of a fan of going to Roar every Tuesday and picking up the Roar paper, and I just want to let you know, says sheriff request wage increase, which they got. The sheriff over in Hamilton County asked for a 7.5% wage increase because we're paying for it. They're feasting on our jail, farming all the prisoners over there. They took in not only just from Hamilton County or from York County, but a couple other counties. They reaped 51,000 in the last less than a year in additional funds of what they have projected, just housing some of our prisoners. And I'd just like to pass that around. And then also in York County, or Hamilton County, they received 1.8 million in ARPA funds. And as of last meeting, Becky Richter, is there just one sheet there?
I think.
Okay. Becky Richter made a motion to go ahead and allocate 200 to 250,000 in ARPA funds for bonuses for some of the people that served during the pandemic. And So they haven't allocated it out yet, but it's gonna be on the agenda, and it'll be, you know, allocating some, I don't know how much, whether it's 1,000, 2,000, 3, 4, 5. It won't be anything like Morrow County, but just pass that information around also. Take one and pass that around, Jack. Last but not least, I thought this was gonna be on the agenda, and I brought it up at the beginning, which I couldn't get amended, but I'd like to bring the roads department situation back. I think we need to really take a look at this, you know, like I said before, I drive by on Highway 34 and see that out there where Imes is paying $22.82 to start. We're down 3 people in the roads department right now. Come 1st of July, we're gonna be down 4 if we can't fill any of the slots now. And just, you know, Harvey give us the numbers last meeting, as far as the $1.50 raise, the $1.50 raise, the $1.50 raise over a 3-year period. It wasn't on the agenda, but just for information wise, you know, I took a look at this thing, and if we figure there's 2,080 hours, you know, doing a 40-hour week for 1 year, even if somebody was getting $25 an hour, that translates to $52,000 before taxes. That's very hard for a family to live on. A family that's probably bad enough for 2, let alone, you know, if you have a couple children. And looking at this thing, and after reading some of the paper yesterday on some of the other businesses that are having problems, if we're gonna retain employees in our roads department, we're gonna have to make some adjustments and make them short-lived. I just feel that that's a must. And I know this was presented last meeting, it wasn't on the agenda this time. If we could get it on next time, I'd still be for the $1.50 increase for the roads department. You aren't gonna have that much of this year left in Harvey's budget, which he said he had the funds to support, and we'd have to work it into the 22-23 budget for next year, some way or another. Just for discussion, but fellas, we've gotta make a move. We can't hire people, we can't keep people. We've had people leave the roads department because they can go somewhere else and get more money. They can darn near do the same going to McDonald's. You know, we gotta do something.
They have a new sign at the entrance of Walmart where they're starting their employees at $16 an hour with benefits.
Do we wanna put it
Bill,
on
would
the
you,
agenda again
would
next
you, Bill, are you comfortable saying it's just the roads department?
I tell you what, we control the salaries for appointed employees and their employees, which is, we control Harvey's salary, we set the salaries for the roads department. Kelly is an elected official, she builds it into her budget, she can give her raises whenever she wants, as long as it fits the budget. Any other elected official has the same option. The appointed officials do not.
Right, so, once again, if
Yes,
you're gonna
I do.
ask to put it on the agenda, which I
Right.
assume you're going to, are you comfortable with saying it's just the roads department? Or
Yes.
do you wanna, call center,
Not at this
corrections?
time.
Okay,
They're the only ones that have come forward with a proposal, is the roads department.
well, I think that's probably because they didn't realize that we give midterm raises. That would be my guess. You know that once you do for one, it opens it up for them all.
I think you're gonna have to look at this just a little bit different. I think we can divorce the roads department from basically the rest of the departments. It's a totally different entity. Even though I know employees are gonna visit, and it's probably gonna be, you know, bend over because we're gonna cause some problems. But do we wanna keep our employees or do we not? That's what it boils down to.
It's the same for everything, though.
I know.
So I
Right
don't,
now,
that's why I'm
just
asking.
I'm just dealing with the roads.
okay? Well, here,
You're right.
I get to deal with them all.
I know.
And whether whether we want to or not, so if we're gonna put it on the agenda,
Right.
my position would be we put it on the agenda for everybody.
Has anybody else, any other department come forward?
Nobody
with
else has
support?
probably been asked to do that.
What's that?
Nobody else has probably been asked
Okay,
to do that.
that's why I brought it up on behalf of the roads department.
I think, to both of your points, I think it'd be helpful for us to know, we did reach out to Harv, I used to be a road liaison, we have been talking about for months, what would it take to get to where we need to be in order to hire and maintain our employees? At the same time, do we have hiring and retention issues throughout the whole county, or is it just specific to one department? So I think if it's just specific to one department, then I get Bill's argument, but again, we don't know if it's specific to one department because we haven't asked them. So I think it would probably behoove us to have it on the agenda for everyone, and then in the next 2 weeks, if everyone's out there listening that have skin in the game here, let us know what the issues are.
Right.
Mr. Chairman, I have one more idea. When the budget comes up, if the department head would build that into his budget, raise during the year's period,
Okay,
if we would authorize him to do that at his discretion, rather than coming to the board and saying, we need this, that, then we wouldn't have this proposal. We would give him the power to give his employees raises as deemed necessary.
right, and that's what they would have to have. But as far as the budget's concerned, when they come in, and if they raise the budget that much, this group isn't gonna go for it. Even though we haven't argued against raises, to my knowledge.
Right.
We've
No.
given the raises that's been asked for. And I think the one piece that's missing out here is the benefit package that York County does provide too. I guess I shorted myself one, but was there an extra? So this spells out, we're not just talking about wages, we're talking about benefits also as part of that. And I think we need to do a better job as a county to promote this part here too.
Right.
That this isn't just a $20 an hour job. For instance, when you look at the health insurance line item alone, for an employee, that's $5 more an hour. And then on top is the FICA, NPERS, our donations and stuff like that. And you guys can look and review this also to see what additional, disability, what additional income comes in that we pay out. That it isn't just, because we do, on top of this, we give 13 paid holidays throughout the year too, which most businesses don't, so it isn't, it's the whole package. I'm not discounting the wages. I know wages are part of it, but this costs our
And
taxpayers
I
money too.
understand that, and I understand that's a benefit. In fact, it's kind of a reward to that employee for, these benefits. I feel it is. But yet, what that take-home check is, that's what he's got to support his family
Undoubtedly,
with.
undoubtedly, but we need to
Oh, I
promote
know.
this part of it too.
Yeah.
We can't leave this
I
without.
think you can promote that and still ask for the raises.
Well, yeah, I just want people to know this isn't just
Yeah.
about wages.
And
This
we
is the
have
whole
done that in
thing.
the past.
It's about, excuse me, Bill,
No,
I
you're
didn't mean to
fine.
cut you out. It's really not about the wages, it's about trying to retain the employees that we have without losing them. Now, I've brought this up to you a couple of times, and this is about the ARPA funds. That money we have, $2.some million, is not local taxpayer money. That money was provided by the federal government, and I know that the federal government comes back to us, and we're gonna be paying taxes on that money, but if we don't ask for it, we're not gonna get it, but we're still gonna be paying for it for everybody else in the country. And these other counties have already approved giving these relief funds to employees that were essential to stay open and to stay working. And I think that we should do the same thing. Yeah, like I said, we can argue about everything else, but that money does not come out of your taxpayers' pockets, not directly.
Well, I just wrote a check to the federal government last week, and it directly came out of my pocket. So, I mean, I think we're gonna argue about that, Jack.
Well, I
don't
wrote a
see
check
where-
to York County for $5,000
Well, sure.
too.
I mean, that's absolutely right.
And just, one thing, we're bringing, benefit package into play here now too, or bringing up that as well. If retention is an issue, maybe do we do a hybrid wage increase? And I can't believe I'm gonna say this. Do we look at our benefit package to boost it up a little bit? Do we say, we'll provide employee and spouse, for example, if that's a way to retain some employees? If that's cost effective versus wages, or make it a wash, I don't know, we're just bringing it up here, talking about it right now. But
I think that
Well, if
is,
you've got a family and you want to pay, and you've got a wife and kids to pay insurance for, that would be a big
Well,
benefit,
right.
absolutely. But if you don't, then it's no benefit at all.
Right.
and it's huge. I mean, I know that our insurance policy for a family is expensive. And it's just not ours, but as you look at that benefit there, in this cost break, that also takes our cost as a county, that's up to $10 an hour now, not just $5 an hour. So it costs us both.
And I was the
Yeah.
guy advocating employees put more skin in the game about 3 years ago, about damn near got ran out of the county for it.
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman, I looked at that thing, and I took those 3 years, and I think we'd come up with like 239,000, something like that. We have a valuation of 3.3 billion. 1 penny raises 330,000. It'd be more like half to 3/4 of a penny to make that increase if we didn't have an increase in valuation. If we had an increase in valuation, it'd be less. But
Okay.
I'm saying that.
Well, I think we have a lot to look at here.
Right. we
You
do.
know,
We do.
over the time. And the only reason I'm bringing it up is because I don't think we need to just look at it as through a tube. I mean, we
Oh, I
need to
know.
look at it
Yeah,
countywide.
that's fine.
And we lead by example. And even though the treasurer, the clerk, everybody can set their own, once we do it, it's gonna happen. It's gonna be a ripple that carries throughout. And that comes to the taxpayer. Granted, we got the money in this budget, but the next budget starts July 1st. And here we go again.
And we-
So I don't know that the $1.50 is a set deal. I
I'm
mean,
not
that's a
saying it is.
requested
I'm
deal.
not saying it is, but that's what was proposed.
Right, it's just
We
requested.
can work off of that.
Sure.
So, I'm just saying.
You got more?
I got one more. We talked about, as far as burning ditches.
Yes.
You saw what came out, the statute that was brought forward to us through the email. I don't know if somebody fully understands what this means. I'll tell you what, I'm getting phone calls from farmers all over York County saying, why can't we burn the ditches? We call the sheriff, we call our fire chiefs, we have an attorney that's not letting anybody issue a burn permit. That's a crock, because right now is the time for these guys to be burning ditches. I think it's an advantage to even our roads department to get these ditches cleaned out. How's come somebody can hold this over our head that we cannot even allow somebody to burn their ditch? And if it has to be, I'd be willing to make a motion to adopt a resolution that, as of right now, that we call the sheriff and all our fire chiefs in York County and give them the power to issue permits to burn road ditches.
Is that
That's all I have to say.
for the time being?
It's time to
You reserve the right to speak again.
You always should, Bill, I always do.
Right.
Is that the resolution we just need to amend?
We did not pass a resolution.
It was a
motion.
policy.
Okay.
We, on May 18th, and did you go get that email to you?
Right.
Okay, so we set a policy, and in that policy, there was state statute referred to.
Yep.
I would encourage all of you to read through that, read the state statute. Obviously, our attempt was, to curb some farming practices that farm the ditches.
Right.
And to keep people from putting stuff in the ditches and reworking ditches without county participation to oversee or what they were doing. That was what I believe this
Correct.
group was going to.
Mhm.
And instead, it's being turned, and I believe in that minutes, it even says that the littering statute that applies to all materials that are specifically not waste from the primary process of farming or manufacturing. For those types of byproducts, the enforcement of 39-301 and 39-311 would be appropriate. Well, 39-311 talks about highways, and I don't know that we have that problem with the highways. You know, they're really not our responsibility anyway, you know, and I don't see any of the farmers burning highway ditches or stuff like that. So I'm not sure what 39-311 has to do with anything. And then 39-301 was the one about felling trees, and that's a state statute that says that. So I think we can come out and make an opinion. We can come out and do whatever we want, but if a county attorney wants to press charges,
I know.
that's what's gonna happen.
Right.
And I don't know that that's gonna make a difference. So if we wanna put it on the agenda next time and talk about it and take a stance, that's fine.
Yeah.
We might as well forget it if we aren't gonna do it pretty soon, because vegetation's gonna start growing in these ditches, and nobody's gonna wanna be burning anyway.
We don't have a meeting for 2 weeks anyways, that'd be
That's
as soon
right.
as we can do it, so.
And 39-311, I've read through that thing, I've read through that thing.
It
You
pertains
can
to
take-
highways.
You can take 3 attorneys, and you're gonna get 3 opinions,
Right, yeah.
guaranteed.
So we can put it on and we can do a clarification if you want.
Well, we bring the Clay County attorney in and see what he wants to do.
Okay. Everything?
I'm done.
Okay. Kurt and myself did sit in on a feasibility study. We will bring that forward in the next meeting or so. That is the study that is the 4-county broadband study that was done and spearheaded by MPPD. That will be something that will be talked about in an executive session, because these are numbers that came back that will be used in a competitive bidding process, and we don't necessarily want to tell the competitive bidders
Sure.
what the engineer come up with. So Kurt and myself spent Friday morning out with that. I also went with the group that Bill mentioned. I also mentioned that Harvey and Sherilyn and Mitch was out there with us at the NACO, and I do have some information if anybody wants to see, or the meeting, that stuff there. Cybersecurity is big, and it's something I think that we need, and I talked to Daniel about that. We need to really pay attention to this point going forward. Financial statement meeting we did have, and we will have another one. There are 3 areas that the clerk and myself are going to come up with some letters in our audit. We've got to clean up how we are tracking grants. We got to clean up how reimbursements will be done. From now on, all reimbursements, before they are approved by us, will have the department head or elected official's signature on them before we even see them. That is something that we were a little bit lax on. And reimbursements, so mileage reimbursements or cost reimbursements, credit card reimbursements, things like that, needs to have certain signatures. And then our federal forfeiture money, this last year, we had actually cleaned that up. It was money that for years and years and years, we would budget what we thought was coming in instead of what was there, and that what we thought, that's the wrong way to budget it. Now, this last year, we didn't do that anymore, so we have to write a response to, what'd she call them, some commission of why we were doing that. I did meet with the Gary Olson, that's gonna be county attorney, the way it looks like, as long as everything proceeds. I had about an hour-long meeting with him yesterday. Him and his wife both, they seem very excited to be around York, and had some great ideas, so hopeful. I did also meet with Sue Crawford. As you know, and it was mentioned this morning, the solar field is let's call it a solar field. It's out here on the landfill site. It is obviously a cooperation between the city and MPPD. There are some benefits to having it. There are some lower priced energy The city is offering that the school district and the county participate in this lower energy. It's all the buildings that we pay electricity to. So the extension, the courthouse. I'm not sure if the roads, are you perennial out there or are you MPPD, Harv?
Perennial, I believe.
Okay, so anybody that we pay MPPD rates to,
NPPD.
you are MPPD? Okay, so anybody that we pay MPPD rates to would be available for these credits that David talked about, and it would be a little bit cheaper. I haven't heard the numbers yet. The city didn't know how to share it with just a few constituents, so their mind was if we give it to the county, the city, and the school district, then everybody shares in a lower price for electricity. So I don't know if there'll be something formal coming down. It's something this summer. I sure don't see any way that we would think this would be a good deal for
Where's
us.
the lower price come from, the credit come from?
The part that is not the fuel source to create. So it's a little cheaper energy as far as MPPD is concerned. And I haven't seen the numbers, so all I know is that came forward.
So it's the power being generated out there, that site is actually being used locally then?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
It's not a feel-good thing like Mr. Rich was talking about earlier?
No.
Okay.
Last but not least, fits in with everything you guys have been talking about. I asked about this last year. We do have the ARPA money. I would ask everybody to come back with an idea of what you want to do with it. You know, I mean, this group gets along very well together. We work well together. We don't always agree, but we do work well together. And this group's going to change, you know, after a few months. So, you know, for instance, as we heard last week and we've known, it's open to any, other than just a few significant things like building a new jail, which I'm not interested in anyway. List out. You know, we're gonna have 2.6, list it out. We'll see where we agree. We'll talk about the other stuff. And, I mean, the feasibility study is gonna want some form of commitment from us. You know, I mean, cybersecurity is a big deal for us. Just yesterday, as me and Bill sat down in that room downstairs, we've got a room downstairs that, you know, the emergency manager wanted to be kind of a command center. It's being used for a training room right now, but we've got a hodgepodge of chairs and tables down there. So put pencil to paper, come up with some ideas, and we need to start, you know, formulating those ideas into what do we want to do. So
I
that's,
think even after that meeting Thursday, we found out that we can use some of these funds on roads and bridges.
sure.
And I don't see anything
Any.
wrong with supplement, you know, we've got the bond, you know, that was the $8 million that we allocated, which we spent a bunch of already. But maybe there's some that we could shift a little bit, you know, into the roads too, to do, maybe one bridge or some box culverts, something like that. I'm sure there's some plans out there, so, keep that in mind too. I guess I'm all for the roads department right now.
That banner's pretty high, I can see that. So, once again, Annie, other than building, there was four items, and it really circulated around the jail. No building, new jail. You can add and remodel and do stuff like that, so. And that PowerPoint presentation is on NACO's website also. Did you have anything to add today?
I just hope I can get Bill on my side. No, I don't have anything.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, is it your intent to have the ARPA start after the fiscal year?
Well, we can,
People have plans and stuff, you're asking people to bring plans to
This
this
board,
board.
yeah.
Is that something we wanna, you know, say, bring it to us by April, end of April or something like that, or?
I think we need to start
incorporate-
having that discussion and, you know, bring the ideas and we can talk to it about it in committee reports and keep moving forward.
So the budget process is probably gonna be gearing up here pretty quick, so.
Yeah.
Wasn't sure if you wanted that to be part of that, or?
It could be a little bit, I mean, it could be, like I say, we've already got 1.3 million budgeted. So, for instance, if something comes up, we can do, in the master scheme of things. I think that it's up to us, you know, obviously 2024 is a ways off. That's when we have to have it all planned to be spent and then spent by 2026. But, you know, if we wanted to, you know, peel off $1 million here or there or whatever, just so we had a kind of a guideline of what we wanted to do with it, I think.
Maybe a little bit in Randy and my retirement.
Well, maybe one of them.
Just-
I won't say which one. Okay, is that it?
It's gonna be me.
We're
I wanna be
adjourned.
done.
We're adjourned.
I wanna be done.
Kill the owl.
You guys show up.
So where